Signs of a manipulative man. In this video, we will talk about the signs that indicate you are dealing with a manipulator. A man who can manipulate, influence, and turn your thoughts, feelings, desires, and preferences into what he needs. A man who can absolutely trample on your self-esteem, making you think, do, and feel what he needs rather than what you would like. So, what signs characterize a manipulator? The first sign is that he makes you feel guilty. This is the feeling of guilt that the manipulator often uses. That is, if you understand that the feeling of guilt towards your partner is already some kind of permanent feeling for you, you experience it as if it has been present throughout your entire relationship. That is, he initially tried to evoke a sense of guilt, meaning that you said something wrong, you felt ashamed, you acted incorrectly, and you felt ashamed. And the further it goes, the more it increases. You already constantly feel guilty. Why does the manipulator do this? Very simple. A person who feels guilty towards another person is easier to control, that is, to manipulate. If you feel guilty and the manipulator asks you to do something, you will be more willing to do it. If you feel guilty, then you are some kind of bad housekeeper, you spend little time with the man, and so on. You will do this more at the expense of your own desires and preferences. In other words, manipulation through guilt is a very powerful form of manipulation. Especially vulnerable are women who are compassionate, sensitive, and empathetic, as they are easily controlled by manipulators and abusers. Here she felt guilty, and she was already ready to do anything for her manipulator just to avoid feeling that emotion. He tries to change you. Perhaps he tells you that you are overweight, that you have an unattractive figure, or that you simply have a belly that needs to be toned, or that you have wrinkles or bags under your eyes. This happens constantly, and soon he is sending you to the gym, monitoring your diet, and not allowing you to eat anything extra. You find yourself in a state where, if you want to do something like eat that pastry you sometimes crave, you start hiding. You begin to believe that you are indeed fat, unattractive, and unkempt, and that no one will look at you. As a result, your self-esteem drops significantly. You stop feeling yourself, you stop loving yourself, you stop believing in yourself. And this is exactly what the manipulator needs. It is very easy to control a person who does not believe in themselves, who has low self-esteem. And by resorting to various manipulations, such a person can be easily managed. First, the manipulator significantly lowers your self-esteem, and then he takes full advantage of it. Next comes the competition. He may initiate competition at the very beginning of the relationship, when you still, for example, believe in yourself, in your abilities, in your success. When you are, for instance, impressed with yourself, at that moment the man may create competitions, showing you that he works better than you, that he achieves things better than you, for example, cooking better than you or cleaning better than you. And again, he undermines your self-esteem, meaning that you start to believe he is better. At that moment, once again, your self-esteem gradually decreases. And this is exactly what he needs, because he is more successful, he is better, he knows better how things should be done, he understands better how things should be. He can do something better to make you start depending on him, or at some point you begin to ask for his opinion. And then the victim who falls into the hands of the manipulator starts to doubt whether she can do anything at all. Even in simple situations, she goes and asks how to do things, how to act, because he has instilled this disbelief in herself. Furthermore, what is allowed for him is not allowed for you. And he can explain it in different ways, saying that he is a man, and that is why he can do something, while you, for example, cannot do the same thing. That is, he can go out with friends and spend the whole evening there, while you cannot spend the evening with your friends. He can go to a nightclub and have fun there until morning, but you are not allowed to do that. This means there is a double standard in your relationship, and this again indicates that you are in a relationship with a manipulator. Furthermore, it punishes you with silence, which is precisely a form of passive aggression. That is, instead of addressing a situation, instead of solving a problem, he remains silent. This in turn makes you feel guilty. The victim starts to feel guilty, wondering what they did wrong, thinking that he is silent, that he is offended, and that perhaps they didn't say something right, didn't act correctly, or didn't do something properly. And now she is already begging him for forgiveness. She is trying hard, cooking his favorite dish, doing what he loves the most, and maybe even someone has bought him something, and so on. So what is established in your relationship? She is trying to alleviate her guilt, but the problems remain unresolved. In other words, she is again trying to do something about her relationship based on her feelings of guilt. The man derives pleasure from this, meaning he doesn't have to solve any problems. Here, the relationship is a one-sided game. He allows himself to be loved while manipulating his victim, and she tries to make everything right. Furthermore, he compares you to his exes. This is again a form of manipulation. As soon as a man starts comparing you to his ex-partner, it indicates that he is trying to manipulate you. And don't rejoice too soon if a man claims that you cook better than his ex and look better than his ex. This is again a comparison that should not exist in relationships. And if someone else enters your relationship, it is always not very good. Comparisons may initially be positive, but later the comparisons may not be in your favor. But that's not the point. The point is that when a person lets go of a relationship, the previous relationship, they also let go of the person, and there is no longer a need to bring that former person back into the relationship, even through memories, comparisons, and so on. If a man is thinking about his ex, it is possible that he hasn't moved on yet, and he needs you for something, to patch a hole in the soul and so on. In other words, you are needed for something. If someone from the past appears in your relationship, think about who is in front of you. Perhaps a manipulator. Moving on. He is packing his things. There is some kind of argument or conflict between you, and instead of discussing it, instead of reaching an agreement and resolving it, he is packing his things. He leaves by slamming the door, and this happens constantly. At some point, you start asking him not to leave, saying, "Wait, I understand, I won't bring up this topic anymore," and so on. But this is manipulation again. The problems in the relationship are not resolved. The woman begins to suppress her discontent, and everything accumulates like a snowball. But she is afraid that if she says something, he will leave. And as long as she needs this man by her side, she will be willing to tolerate such behavior from him. Furthermore, never apologizes. A sign of a healthy mind is the ability to acknowledge one's mistakes. When a person calmly acknowledges that they were wrong in a situation and acted foolishly, it is a sign that they are capable of self-assessment and understand that they are not made up of only virtues. That is, each of us has our own shadow sides. Every person has their own shortcomings. But a person who does not apologize denies all of their shortcomings. In other words, they cannot be wrong, and that is why they cannot apologize. If a person says that they will not apologize because they are always right, you may be dealing with a manipulator. Observe how they behave and how they treat you. If a person tries to make you feel guilty, undermines your self-esteem, and tries to convince you that you are incapable of anything, then you are dealing with a classic manipulator. What to do in this situation is up to you to decide. Either try to change something in the relationship or leave it. The decision is yours. That's all I have for this video. This was Alice Vardomska with you. I hope for your likes and subscriptions. Write in the comments what you would like to discuss in my new videos. Don't forget to hit the bell icon. Goodbye, everyone.